A common issue and theme in many family law cases is substance abuse. And whether it's illegal drugs or prescription medication or even alcohol, substance abuse can wreak havoc for families and especially for children of those families. During the initial client consultation, I always ask prospective clients whether or not substance abuse is prevalent in their situation. And that question is not only focused on the opposing party, but also on my client as well. Because you see, as your attorney, it's very important for me to know all the facts surrounding your case, especially when it comes to drugs and alcohol. I need to know whether or not that is an issue and whether or not the other side may try to make allegations, whether they're true or not, but whether they may try to make allegations against you saying that you are abusing drugs or alcohol. And I'll give you an example. I had a client once who was going through a divorce, and she told me that she knew her husband was going to make an issue about her drinking. So we talked and tried to flesh that out a little bit, and as it turns out, she drank on the weekends with friends, but she did not think it was a problem, but nevertheless she felt her husband was going to make a big deal about it, as he had during their marriage. So I decided that the client should go ahead and get an alcohol assessment done, and the client agreed to do that, and she also agreed that she'd follow any recommendations of that alcohol assessment. For example, attending AA meetings, obtaining a 12-step sponsor, abstaining from drinking alcohol, and so on. It's important for me as your attorney, if you do have an issue with substance abuse, to try to get you help. But as it turns out in this case, my client did not have any issues with drinking according to this alcohol assessment. And so what that allowed us to do was now have a pivotal piece of evidence to use to combat her husband's allegations that she was a problem drinker. But none of that would have happened had my client not been forthright with me and told me that she felt her husband was going to have an issue about her drinking. On the other end of the spectrum are the occasional clients that have failed to inform me that drugs and alcohol are an issue for them. And I don't know if it's because those clients are in denial or if they just feel that it's best to ignore the situation and it will go away. But I can assure you that it won't, and it's always better to inform your attorney of all of these issues. I had one case a few years ago where I was representing a wife, and she had assured me that not only was her husband doing drugs, but that he was selling them. And she did not do drugs, and that was a big reason why they were going through a divorce. Well, as it turns out, at the hearing, the other side produced evidence that showed not only my client did drugs, but she had done them within 2 weeks prior to this hearing. And this was the first time I had heard any of this, so I had no time to discuss it with my client, no time to strategize, no time to prepare. Obviously, that did not bode well for my client. And the moral of that story is, whether it's you that has the issue with drugs and alcohol, or it's your spouse or your ex-spouse, you need to let your attorney know. Because if you have the problem, your attorney can help you get treatment and help prepare your case around that. But if it's your spouse or your ex-spouse that has the problem, well, then your attorney can help protect you and your children. So just know that when you're talking to your attorney about the facts of your case, you need to be 100% honest about everything.